want to speak, to speak. Sir Judge Rado, how are you?
I'm very fine, my boss.
Yeah, so you're going to assist me as a co-host?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm available.
Yeah, so what you're going to do, you will assist me to read what your colleagues will be writing on the chat.
I will do that diligently.
Thank you very much. Benta? Benta Akeyo? Unmute yourself. You're from which county, Benta? Yeah? Homa Bay. Unfortunately, your whatever is too low. Your microphone is too low. We can't hear you well. Can you try to increase the volume? Now speak again. You're from which county, Benta? Okay, Benta has left. I want somebody to join us so that he or she can pray for us. If you think you can pray, please use the chat and tell me, Madam, I can pray. Who can pray for us? Mitch. Okay, Mitch, I will give you the right to pray for us. So you can unmute your mic. Unmute your mic.
Okay. Thank you, Daktari. We can pray. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, thank you because of this wonderful opportunity that we have had, that we are going to have a lesson. Thank you because of the far we have come. And thank you because of the far we are going. Thank you for Daktari. And thank you for the other panelists and all the other students on board. Even as we start this lesson, Lord, we pray that you may begin with us and end with us. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you very much. So, Mitch, you will remain on this side.
Okay.
You will assist Rado to voice what your colleagues will be saying.
Okay.
And probably give views, depending on the questions that I'll be asking. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Okay. So today, this is 3 minutes to 5:10. Can we give them the 3 minutes so that we can start together? To see. Okay. Yeah. Today we are going to look at module 8. Some of you have been asking why module 8 and not module 5, not module 6. There is everything. And remember, when we started, we told you that these modules are not they are not in a sequence. Each module is a stand-alone. It can be done on its own because it is talking about a particular subject. So we will go back to module 5 and 6 and 7 later, probably when we'll be coming for the face-to-face sessions. And that is why we thought we deal with module 8 first before we get into the other 3. So module 8, which is on guidance and counseling, has got 7 units like any other. and the 7 units are as listed here. We will start by introducing you to guidance and counseling, after which we will look at basic counseling skills. Why are we looking at basic counseling skills? Because we expect every leader to at least have some skills in counseling. Remember, we are retooling you to be better leaders. And so a good leader is that one who is able to offer counseling services to the other colleagues in the staff room and even to students. So that is the reason as to why it is important for you to get to understand the basic counseling skills and, if possible, try and apply them. The next unit is on discipline. Discipline in learning institutions. Why are we talking about discipline in a guidance and counseling module? It's because we are now moving away from what we used to do traditionally under discipline, that is corporal punishment, to different other modes of discipline. Because discipline in itself is not supposed to be looked at negatively. The connotation of discipline, what we have been doing in the past, has always looked like it is something punitive. Discipline is punitive. Now we want to change the narrative and change the mindset to look at discipline positively. Then we will look at adolescence growth and development. Why is it important for us to talk about adolescence in guidance and counseling? It's because it is during this stage of adolescence, puberty, that our children get a lot of challenges that help them achieving their objectives, or rather getting what they are supposed to get from our learning institutions. Because due to the adolescent stage, others are driven by their emotives, they are driven by probably the changes in their bodies, peer pressure and others, and they start making wrong decisions. And because guidance is about directing, it is important to talk about adolescence growth and development. The next unit is on crisis and trauma intervention. We notice that in human life, it is possible to go through some form of stress that could come from either a crisis or a traumatic event like death, maybe fire, and so on and so forth. And so in guidance and counseling, it is important to look at this and how we can help our children and even the other members of the school community. Then we will look at, that is unit 6 is on peer counseling. Why? Because peer counseling is very critical when it comes to guidance and counseling. Very, very, very critical. Because looking at the numbers that we have in our schools, it is not possible that we will be able to reach to every child to be able to assist them overcome the challenges that they are having. And in any case, most of our learners are not very free with the teachers. They would rather discuss or share whatever they have with their colleagues or their peers than share with an adult. So the peers are reachable, they're approachable, and they are there at any time they need to talk to someone. There is someone to talk to. And finally, we will talk about career guidance. In most of our schools, we have separated the Department of Career Guidance from that of Discipline and that of Guidance and Counseling. But it is important to note that as much as we have separate maybe units or departments, these three need to work together, because career guidance, discipline, and generally guidance and counseling are all issues under guidance and counseling. So even if we have different personalities working in these offices, they are supposed to merge at a given point so that they can work together. That the disciplinary master is not supposed to be looked at as an enemy, because discipline in most cases is in the office of the deputy principal or the deputy head teacher. And so the children will always fear that office. That office should be as friendly as the office of guidance and counseling, because we are now having what you are calling a paradigm shift from the traditional way of discipline to a new, rather a positive way of discipline that's favorable in the 21st century. And so, where are we going to start from? It is critical and important to note that when we are talking about guidance and counseling, we must always look at these three times: the past time, the present time, and the future time. Why are we looking at the three? Because whatever is happening today might be informed by something that happened in the past. So you don't just start from what you present to you and assume that okay, let me start from here. No, you'll be forced sometimes to look at the past. Take the client, rather the person you are counseling or guiding, to the past, because in most cases the past informs the present and the present informs the future. Why are we counseling? Why are we guiding? It's because we are looking at the future. We want the future of this child to be good, this child to have a better future, this child to be able to make better decisions in the future. Now, let us start by defining guidance. What is guidance? Maybe we can start with you. Using the chart, can you just tell me what is guidance? Before I tell you what is in the literature, what people have written, before I tell you what I know about guidance, what is guidance? Sarado?
I'm ready.
Yes. We want to see you start engaging on the chart. What is guidance? When you look at it, what is it? Showing directions?
Yes, showing the way, showing directions. Guidance is directing. Okay, showing the way, leading, directing to a given point of view, simply giving direction, leading, giving direction, to direct one in the right direction, assisting, enlightened, giving way forward to someone listening and leading someone, assisting, assistance given to someone in need, assisting to achieve one's goals, showing way to a particular group or person, directing, giving directions on a better way or ways of doing things. Guidance involves informed advice, leading to the right way. Guidance is directing, giving the correct way of doing things. Assistance, showing the way that is leading one to come out of some, leading to a given positive direction to ascertain a goal. Process by which a client is directed on a path towards coming out from a struggle, helping one to achieve a goal, empowering, giving advice, correcting someone and showing the way, giving assistance, leading someone on the right direction, giving the right direction, giving informed decision, correct way of doing things, assisting one to get the right direction, directing one according to the accepted norms, directing, assisting a client to identify their solutions and how it affects their current situation, and offering guidance to the right or positive result. High, leading to the most appropriate course, giving direction, to showing the right way to solve issues, showing the right directions, teaching the way,
All right.
giving direction. All right, Sasa.
Thank you very much. You see, when we are looking at this module, we are not assuming that you know nothing. Each one of us has got some idea. Each one of us knows something about what we are looking at. But what we want to do is to try and go deeper. This evening, I'm simply giving you an overview of what is in the module. So you will be required to go to the virtual campus and now deeply look into the notes, unit after unit. Because for now, I cannot be able to talk about a module of over 100 pages within 3 hours. So we will just pick on a few things that we can pick on, then you will build on when the time comes to do activities and even the assignments in the module. So according to Erickson says that guidance is assistance made available. Assistance made available. The person guiding has to provide the assistance. Yeah? And this person must be a competent counselor to an individual of any age to help him direct his own life. As much as you're saying it is directing, you are offering assistance to allow somebody else direct their own lives, develop his own point of view, make his own decision, and carry his own burden. In other words, what is Erickson and Hamrin saying? So what are they saying? They are saying in guidance, as much as you are the one offering the assistance, the final person is the receiver, the person receiving the assistance. They have to take it up and now direct their own lives so that they can own the process of wherever they want to move to. And then Ruth Tang says that guidance is a process of helping every individual. When she's talking about a process of helping every individual, it means it is not something that you will do in an instance and then you say, I have guided. It is not like telling somebody, okay, go this way, and that is it. It is a process. It will take a bit of time. Through his own effort to discover and develop his potentialities for his personal happiness and social usefulness. So at the end of it all, if you look at both the two authors, there is the aspect of the individual taking it up and owning the decision or owning the process of getting help. So that at the end of the day, they don't end up saying, it is Rado who told me. No, Rado guided me and I thought it was the right movement to take and I took it. I took that direction and that is why I am here. Now, let us now look at what you know about guidance and counseling. Now, I want us to bring in counseling. What is the difference between the two? What is the difference between the two? KWL means what you know, and then what you want to learn. Now let us start by, what do you know about guidance and counseling? What is the difference between these two terms? Still using the chat? Still using the chat? Let's go there. Mitch, where did you go?
I'm very much here. I'm very much here.
All right.
Yeah, let me see.
I want a female voice so that we are not having only Rado. Who can assist Rado so that I promote him or I promote to the panel side? Please use the chat. Rado, give me the name.
Benta Ayako.
Benta's Nini was having a problem.
Oh, Nimeona Caroline, they are giving their TC numbers, or what is going on?
Who has said they give? No, okay. Caroline who?
Kuna Caroline, Rose.
Which Caroline? There are so many Carolines.
Counseling is show. Okay.
I want somebody who can come to this other side to support you. Has anybody said they can?
No, they are only giving names.
Okay, Mother Stella. So let me do it. Let me call Mother Stella. Let me bring Mother Stella here. Mother Stella Njoroge. Please unmute yourself. You will now assist George and Mitch to read what your colleagues are writing. Now, what is the difference between, what do you know about guidance and counseling? What is the difference between the two? Now you can read. Rado, read the first 5, then Mother Stella joins.
5. Thank you. Guidance help is given so as one can avoid wrong decision. Counseling offers way of remedy. Second one, guidance is initiated by the counselor where they see need, while counseling is where a client goes to the counselor for assistance. The third one, guidance is done before and counseling is done after to offer a remedy. The fourth one, to guide is to lead, while counsel is advice so that one can make informed decision. The last one, guidance occurs before the problem, while counseling occurs when the problem is experiencing problem. Oh, the person is experiencing the problem. That's the last one.
Next. Okay, Mother Stella, pick up from there. Unmute yourself. Mitch, you can unmute yourself and continue reading what is on the chat.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Madam. Guidance, okay, counseling is assisting someone to make an informed decision, and guidance is directing some, okay. Counseling is giving a hint on the right direction one needs to take. Guidance is leading, while counseling is an advice on an issue. Guidance is to a group, counseling is individualized. Yeah, that's then we have also guidance is leading one to do the correct things, while counseling is giving good advice. But options.
Mary Stella, your mic is making noise, so probably we might not be able to hear.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Okay, continue.
All right, guidance is directing, counseling is done when one is already probably in a problem. Yeah, and then guidance is showing the way, while counseling is providing information for evaluation. Moses 538. Okay,
thank you very much. Now,
counseling is
thanks, Mitch. Thank you, Mitch. Now, now that you know the difference between the two, what then do you want to learn about guidance and counseling? What do you want to learn so that we see if we'll be able to meet your expectations? Mary Stella, you can read what your colleagues have written. Maristella, you can unmute yourself. What do you want to learn? How they are done? When to be done? And the benefits? Good. Continue, Maristella.
What you want to know, how to handle different issues, qualities of a good leader. I want to learn how I can apply guidance and counseling, how to work it out. I also want to learn, we are moving so fast, qualities of a good counselor, how to guide when you are not trained, how to assist the students with their challenges. Counseling is even, this one is still on the differences, challenges and approaches. How best I can how both are done professionally.
Okay, Martha. Okay, Rado can assist you. Rado is used to this. Rado, continue.
Yes, I can. I continue reading.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got it here. How to counsel without undergoing training. How I can effectively replace other traditional forms of discipline. How to apply the tool in improving discipline. Differences between guidance and counseling. How to carry out guidance and counseling to low achiever learners. How to make client. I want to learn different approaches in guidance and counseling. How to start talk with the counselor. How to offer guidance professionally. How to handle issues affecting pupils and colleagues. The background noise. I want to learn more on how to use and how the tool can be applied to our students who have been termed as spoiled beyond repair. How to make clients come to. Good evening to all. No. How to counsel a student addicted to sex. Ululu. How guidance can replace normal discipline we are used to. Counseling assists individuals to make their decisions from available alternatives. Counseling and guiding in different areas. Application of guidance and counseling in schools. How well can I represent myself as a counselor? And lastly, nimeona differences between guidance and counseling. Kuna pia, can I read this one? How to guide a student who is known to be HIV positive and carelessly having sex as they have lost hope. I want to learn etiquette in guiding.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So at least there is something that you want to learn. So this session is not in vain because there is something you want to learn. And therefore you're going to at least follow and be attentive. Now, when you're talking about guidance and counseling, it is what you have exactly said. It is what you are saying. The only difference is, when it comes to guidance and counseling, counseling has to be done by somebody who is a professional, somebody who understands what it entails to counsel, somebody who has what we call emotional intelligence. Because counseling refers to a professional advice given by a counselor to an individual to help him in overcoming from personal or psychological problems. And that tells you, just like what you said, that counseling comes after that event has occurred, because it has to do with a challenge that the professional person is helping the individual to overcome. So it comes after the event has occurred, or the challenge has happened, or the problem has happened. And when you come to guidance, guidance is more of preventive in nature. It is preventive because you are directing, you're giving direction, so that the other person can look at it and see whether it is worth taking. So guidance assists the person in choosing the best alternative. So as we start the journey, it is important to note that guidance and counseling in our learning institutions is very, very critical. Why? Because learners, like any other, they are human beings. And so guidance in our educational institutions is simply that mental process of exposure to useful information, meaning it will require us to think about certain programs, certain topics that we can take our children through so that they can be able to make their own decisions to lead the path that we are taking them through. We are talking about experiences. We are talking about resources to facilitate decision making for personal and social development. That is why we take time sometimes to invite experts to come and talk to our students. If it is the subject that requires an expert from the medical field, like HIV and AIDS, probably we are not at a good position to really tell the students what it is to be HIV positive, what it is to be pregnant while in school. Then we will have to call for an expert to come and talk to the last that particular topic, drug and substance abuse, and many others. The person providing guidance is well placed in knowledge and skills, as well as more exposed to give meaningful direction to the one that he is guiding. That means that the person guiding should be more knowledgeable, should be more skilled than the person that he or she is guiding. So that as you're giving this information, you are giving from a point of view of information. And so if it is you, the teacher, you have been requested to guide or to talk about a certain topic, it is important that you take time to retool yourself. Yeah? Go and read. Get more knowledge, get more information about that particular topic before you get out to talk about it, so that you are giving the learners what is authentic, what is real, and what is true, not just from hearsays. And therefore it is important to note that in guidance you need to have this in your mind, that you think you know and you imagine that the direction you are giving is the best, while from the other side, the person being guided has got their own way. So from the point where you are starting to guide, you need to know the reason as to why you are guiding is because there is your way and there is his way or her way. So the students will have their way of doing things. That is why you want them to move from their way to come and join your way, so that if they take your way, then they will be able to move comfortably. And so at the starting point, there is always disharmony. There is always disharmony. So you must be very creative. You must be very knowledgeable. You must be well skilled to be able to bring this child or these children to the way that you are showing them. So from the start, as you start your conversation, you need to know that you are starting from a point of disharmony, and now you are looking for harmony. How are you looking for harmony? By the way you are presenting your ideas to these people or the individuals listening to you, they should be able now to join the path that you are showing them so that you can have harmony. Now, what are the principles of guidance? We have many other principles, but we are going to look at just a few. When engaging guidance, these principles are very critical. Dignity of the individual, which is supreme, is very critical. That even as you're guiding, uphold the dignity of the individual that you're guiding. Don't look at them like they are foolish and then you trash them when they are trying to tell you, now we think it is, or I think it is this way. You say you don't know even what you're doing. You don't want to listen to me. So the dignity of the individual is supreme. It has to be maintained. Each individual is different from one another. Remember, I said from the start it is disharmony. So you need to know that you will have different views, despite the fact that you might be thinking that this is a very common area or a very simple topic to talk about, or something that everybody knows. Each individual is different in the way they think, in the way they appreciate things, in the way they do things. So you need to appreciate this as you start the conversation. The primary concern of guidance is individual on social setting. It is about the individual making their own decision depending on their social settings. Attitude and personal perceptions are very critical because they form the basis of individual acts. So where do you begin from? Of course, you need to know disharmony. And in this disharmony, what I want to give these children is something that is supposed to help them now and in the future. And so I'll have to work on their attitude first. How do you work on their attitude first? You need to identify how you can get to their hearts, how you can inspire them, how you can pull them to your side. Because their perceptions could be different from your perceptions. And because you're guiding, it is your perceptions that you want them to follow. And for them to follow your perceptions, they must develop an attitude that is attracted to your perception. So as you start your conversation, you need to work on their attitude. Very important. Putting in mind that each individual is different from one another. The individual acts usually enhance perceived self. The way they do things, the way they behave, the way they carry themselves around, the way they dress, the way they talk, usually enhances how they perceive themselves. The individual has innate ability to learn. Everybody has got the inside ability to learn. In fact, I usually say live to learn and learn to live. Live to learn and learn to live. When you are alive, we live to learn. And if at all we want to continue living, we need to learn. So live to learn and learn to live. And so the individual can be helped to make choices that will lead to self-direction consistent with social improvements. And because you know, you have accepted the fact that everybody can learn, that everybody has the ability to learn, everybody has the ability to change even the way they perceive things or change their attitude towards what you are giving them, then it is important to appreciate everybody that you are offering guidance to and give them some chance to learn. Each individual may at times need the information and personalized assistance best given by competent professional personnel. It is possible that during a guidance counseling, a guidance session, there is one or two of those individuals that are listening to you who might be touched and will want personal assistance. Then you will have to take that direction or even refer them to a competent professional personnel. For instance, if you are talking about matters to do with spirituality, you are talking about matters to do with cults, and then you want to understand the details, the depth about this topic that you're talking about, you might want to refer this child or this individual to maybe a chaplain, somebody who deals with spiritual matters in the school. Now then, that we started with the point of this harmony, how we harmonize. We will only harmonize when it comes to guidance, when we look at these key areas. Why am I guiding? I've always told my students that when the why is clear, the how is easy. So you have to start from the why question. Why place am I doing this? When your why is clear, you will then know which steps to take. When am I doing the guidance? To whom? Who am I guiding? What exactly do I want to talk about? What exactly do I want to use? Where am I doing from? Is it from the classroom? Is it from the dormitory? Is it from the dining hall? Is it from the field? Is it from my house? And so on and so forth. And then you ask the question, after answering all this, how? So the how will give you the feedback. And so if you talk about these 6 questions, you will be able to bring in harmony, and the guidance you are offering will be acceptable. Now, what are the principles of guidance? What are the assumptions when it comes to the principles of guidance? These are the things that are general and are obvious. That every individual has got talents. Back in your mind, you need to appreciate the fact that every individual has talents. Even that small child that you want to tell, don't go this way, go this way. This child has got talents. It is possible they can have a better way of doing the things you want them to do. Another assumption is that excellence is possible. We are not limited as human beings. Each one of us can achieve excellence. Each one of us. Why am I saying this? Because if we look back from where we have come from and where you are today, sometimes when you look at the obstacles that you have passed as an individual, you realize that there are so many, and at some time probably you thought you could not do what you did, but finally you did it. So excellence is possible. Problems mark growth. When you're talking about guidance, it is important to make it open, let it be known that as much as we are taking you through this path, it is possible you can face challenges. And when you face challenges, you don't stop there, because challenges help you to grow. Anytime you overcome a challenge, you move to the next level, so you are growing. So it is important to make it clear to the individuals. There are individual differences. This one we've already talked about in the principles. That we need always to have this assumption that as much as I am talking, like now, I could be imagining that I am talking and I am teaching very well. There is somebody there saying, huyu daktari hata natubo. Me, I don't even like, we have individual differences. When you start guiding, appreciate the fact that people think differently. People perceive things differently. And if they don't take your way, don't kill yourself. Just appreciate that you did your best. Environment provides numerous opportunities. Now, from the environment in which you're doing the guidance, it is possible to see opportunities that can help you improve what you are doing, or the subject you are talking about. If I told you are talking about how to succeed in life, you can even use the things that are within the room to demonstrate to the individuals that you're guiding that it is possible to do that. So the environment can provide numerous opportunities. You can use the learners themselves or the individuals themselves to share their personal experiences. Those are opportunities. So that as they are sharing their personal experiences, the others are learning from them. And so this brings us to the types of guidance. We have 3 types of guidance. We have what we call educational guidance, we have vocational guidance, and we have personal guidance. Now, from your understanding, what is educational guidance? What is educational guidance? Anybody who wants to answer that, please write on the chat and tell me I can, so that I give you rights to speak. What is educational guidance? Educational guidance? Educational guidance? Who can assist us? Can you define educational guidance? Don't raise up your hand. Just write on the chat. Tell me I can. I want somebody who can speak. As much as you're writing, I want somebody who can speak. Guidance on academic matters. Who can speak? Just write I can. I give you guidance. Gezen. Thank you. So, Gezen, please unmute yourself and tell us what you understand by educational guidance.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, we are hearing.
This is guidance that is related to educational issues in terms of academics that relates to it.
Regarding?
Guidance
regarding
related to academic issues and matters related. Yeah.
Okay. Academic. Everybody's saying academic. Good. Okay, what about vocational guidance? Who can answer that? What is vocational guidance? Just write I can. I give you rights to speak, because I don't want this to be a monologue. What is vocational guidance? Somebody just say I can using the chat. Vocational guidance, Catherine Wanzala. Okay, thank you, Catherine. Kathleen, please unmute yourself and tell us what vocational guidance is.
Hello, everyone.
Hello?
Hello, everyone.
Yes,
Now,
continue, Catherine. We're
vocational
hearing.
guidance. Vocational guidance is guidance that is based towards career progression. Yes.
Good. Do you all agree? I can see you're agreeing. You are concurring. That is good. Now, what about personal guidance? What about personal guidance? What about personal guidance? Back to the chat. Tell me I can. What is personal guidance? Somebody wants to speak? Caroline Omare? Please unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, Caroline.
Hello, everyone.
You're still muted. Good evening, Caroline.
Yes, I think personal guidance is helping learners or anybody for that matter to deal with personal issues with relationships, family issues. You know, our students sometimes have issues from home, issues that touch them as individuals. I think that is what we understand by personal guidance.
Oh, good. Thank you. Anything else that has been written on the chat, Rado? Anything else that people have written on the chat? Rado, are you there?
Yeah, I'm never there.
Just read what is the chat last ones. Can I read, Sir Charles?
Oh, we have given to an individual to help make choices. Guidance that aims at assisting one to deal with their individual challenges. Yes. Personal issues, another one.
Sir Charles wanted to read. Can we now allow him to read?
Take on all health problems. Guidance to an individual. Emotional development issues of identity. Helping individuals deal with social family issues. Guidance on physical and social individual life. Guidance based on decision making. Has to do with guiding one on very personal issues beyond work and education. Personal guidance is given to an individual to help solve personal problems. Can I stop there?
Yeah, you can stop there. Maybe because Charles wanted to read, maybe Charles, you can also read.
Yes.
Charles, unmute yourself. Unfortunately, your network is not very stable. We will allow you to read next time. Don't worry. Just
issues of identity. Issues. Thank you.
Okay. Your mic has a challenge. It's okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for your answers. That will mean that we are alert, yeah? And so that brings us to the point of talking about counseling per se. We are saying that counseling is a process. And when somebody says a process, it takes some time. It takes quite a number of steps. And when we are talking about counseling, we have two people involved here. We have a counselor and we have a counselee. And the counselee comes in with a challenge that needs some form of adjustments. And so the counselor will do what we call interpret the kind of challenge that has been introduced or tabled before him or her, and be able to relate with it and provide a plan and allow the counselee to adjust and get healing. Now that is according to Glenn F. Smith. Now within this relationship, usually the counselor has to focus on the client's feelings, what the client is thinking about, or what the client has done. and then be able to empower the client to cope with what has happened in their lives, be able to explore options of overcoming, and finally make decisions and take responsibility. So what that means, as a counselor, you are not offering solutions. As a counselor, you are simply giving advice. It is up to the counselee to make a decision and accept your proposals of advice on the proposals and take responsibility. When it comes to our learning institutions, this is an effective process. It is an emotional process because it involves the whole person. And we, as the teachers, play a role of a helper because we are more knowledgeable. We have lived for a longer time than our learners. We are more skilled, and we have the right attitude that will enable us help the younger people, the children under us, to deal with their underlying emotional issues that may be interfering with their ability to function properly, given the situation in which they are, within or without the school, inside or outside the school. So you become like a parent because you have gone through this life. You have reached where you are, and now you are a teacher. Remember, not all of us have done guidance and counseling courses, but all of us are expected to offer guidance and counseling services, because as an adult, every younger person is looking up to us. And so it is important to get to understand some of these things so that when they come to us for counseling, we don't just tell them, go to so and so. She or he is the one in charge of guidance and counseling. You have to do your part because you should show some kind of responsibility to help the children. Now, what is the role of the counselor? First, the counselor is expected to facilitate change through psychosocial support. Remember, counseling has to do with the inner person. And so, you are offering what we're calling psychosocial support to bring about change. Another role of a counselor is to make the learner aware of the emotional problems. Sometimes that our learners are going through some challenges and they are not even aware that they have a challenge. So it is up to us, when we look at them and realize that they're having a challenge, bring it to their attention. Let them be aware that you could be suffering from this and this and this and this. And then provide an enabling environment for expression and resolution of these issues. When a child comes to you with a problem or a challenge, don't just start talking about that challenge that particular time. Maybe you are walking home and then you are in the middle of going home. Then a child comes, follows you and tells you, Madam, I wanted to talk to you. I have this and this and this problem. You must look around and ask yourself, is this environment really appropriate before I start talking about this? Yeah? You're just on the way. Other children are going home, passing through the same path. What if they hear what you're talking about? So counseling has to do with an enabling environment. You must think about an environment that will make the counselee comfortable. And then you must also have a framework to facilitate healing, because you're not going to do it once pap and healing comes. Counseling, remember we said it is a process. You start from a point, you move with the client for a while before the healing comes. And when the healing comes, you have to terminate. We are going to look at the stages of counseling. And then enable the learner to adopt and practice new positive behavior. It is you to enable. How do you enable? Continue walking the path with the learner. Continue walking the path with the client. Don't just offer advice and forget about it. You need to keep on probing, finding out whether he or she is trying to do what you told him or her to do. So you need to continue encouraging, continue inspiring, continue walking the path with the client. And to do that, you must always become a team with that person. Together with the advice, the strategies that you've given, and the teamwork between you and the person, then there will be progress. If at all you are talking about something and the person you are talking to is not walking the same path with you, then there is no teamwork. Then there will be no progress. But if you have come up with a strategy, a plan, yeah, you have come up with this strategy. This is how we can work on it. Then you team up. As he or she starts working on that strategy, you are there to support. You are there to encourage. You are there to, yeah, just continue. Just continue. There will be progress. And so when we're talking about strategy, we are talking about so many other things. We are talking about new ideas in the process. We are talking about getting solutions. We are talking about coming up with a plan. Being very creative, innovative, having insights, being strategic, yeah, adding value. And there has to be growth. And even when you are talking about ideas, yeah, they have to be implemented and be maximized, optimize what you are wanting to do. And in all this, when we are coming up with a strategy, we are gearing towards problem solving. We want to solve a problem. And so we must think about high performance solutions. What is the best path to take? Okay, I want to guide towards this direction. I want to counsel so that I give this kind of advice. Which is the best advice that I can give in this instance? I remember at some point when we were in high school, those years, the then years, there is a girl who used to write letters to male teachers and put the letters in her biology books. So when then she pretends she's going for what did we used to call it? What is it? What is it? Consultation. Yes. And we used to consult through the windows. The teachers are in the staff room, we are outside, so you consult through the window. So there is no contact between the student and the child. So this girl used to take notes in her books. When she's interested in such and such a teacher, that is Form 2, not even Form 4, not even Form 3. This is just a child, Form 2. Anaandika love letter, anapatia mwalimu kitabu amsaidishie kazi amefanya. So when the teacher is opening the book, what does the teacher find? A love letter. So it's like, now it became like almost all the male teachers in the staff room had been written to, because most of them were not responding. So what they did, they had to come up with a strategy. As much as now it was overboard, it was not involving one person. So they had to look for a way to help this girl. I don't know, if you were a teacher, what could you have done? Okay. We have different modes of delivery when it comes to counseling. We have two different ways. Somebody was talking about counseling. Okay, guidance is a group, counseling is individual. No, you can have what we call group counseling. We can have what we call individual counseling. Now, individual counseling is offered to an individual directly. Yeah? It has a personal approach and it focuses on a particular individual to bring about self-awareness and understanding for purposes of adjustment. When it comes to group counseling, you are looking at a case where a group of learners or a group of students have done this and that, and you need to correct that behavior when they are all together. So there is what we call group counseling. Maybe you can tell we can share at this point, what are the instances when we can use group counseling, where we have a single counselor and multiple clients, and we want to help them to resolve a troubling issue. Let's go to the chat. Let me see. Give us some examples. Examples when we can use group counseling. When we talk of performance, school fires, poor performance, poor performance in a subject, when learners make mistakes in a class, which is similar, like noise making, students want to strike, career guidance, discipline, in peer-related issues like drug abuse, class or dorm what? When striking, truancy, adolescent crisis, bad behavior in a class, rampant drug abuse, rioting, relationships, issues of bedwetting, relationship issues, drug abuse, fighting, poor health. One student issues like COVID-19, puberty stage, teenage pregnancy, COVID-19, general poor performance, learners not wanting a particular subject, class poor performance, theft issues in a class. Good, yeah. And there is a very thin line. If you look at the examples that you've given, there is a very thin line between counseling and guidance, very thin, of which you must be very sure that you are counseling and not guiding. Counseling will come in when a particular behavior has been seen. Guidance will come in because you want to prevent a behavior that is destructive. Thank you very much. And so we have 3 different types of counseling. There is what we call directive counseling, we have non-directive counseling, and then we have the eclectic counseling. Eclectic counseling is a combination of the first 2, where the counselor alternates between the directive counseling methods and the non-directive counseling methods. And so when we are talking about directive counseling methods, we are talking about instances where the counselor plays a major role by directing the counselee to think by informing them, explaining, interpreting circumstances, and giving advice. It is now teacher-centered. It is the teacher who knows. This child has come with this problem. The child is relying on me. So I will advise, I will explain, I will inform. That is directive. Non-directive is the second type of counseling, whereby with the help of the counselor, the counselee understands the nature and cause of this problem. So the counselee is involved here. So non-directive is more of the counselor leading the discussion and the counselee opening up to even give suggestions of what they are going to do to make a difference. And so eclectic has to do with a combination of the 2. In other words, directive is teacher-centered. Non-directive is learner-centered, and eclectic is a blend between the two. So which one do you use most? What is the purpose of guidance and counseling programs in our schools? Maybe I can start by asking, what programs do we have in our schools under guidance and counseling? Can we write them down? Programs in our schools under guidance and counseling? We are going to the chat, Rado.
I'm ready.
Uh-huh.
Consequences of examination cheating, peer counseling, families, sexuality, family, peer pressure, families, life skills, girls talk, sanitation and health
You muted yourself?
programs, reproductive health.
Failures, HIV and AIDS, drug and
I can
substance.
assist, yeah, I can
Yes,
take him through
thank you, Mitch.
parenting, bereavement, academic discipline. We are foster families. The world starts with me programs, a nice one. Parenting, early pregnancies, peace in schools, drug and substance abuse, adolescence and reproductive education, mentorship, boy-girl relationships, drug abuse, personal health, drug abuse, pornography. This is very common. Drug and substance abuse, leaders training, academics, drug and substance abuse. There's peer counseling, grief counseling, relationship counseling, as well as lesbian dangers, peer pressure, COVID-19 pressure, peer pressure. There is career counseling. Okay, I think, and then we have homesick.
All right. I like that one. Okay. Yeah, that is very interesting. Yeah, very, very interesting.
Nice one. Homesick.
Yeah. And so we have the purposes of guidance and counseling programs. Because we have these programs in schools, we have a purpose. And the purpose answers the question why. Now, why do we have guidance and counseling programs? We want to ensure that the physical, the emotional, the social, and even the educational development of the learners is okay. Yeah, that is why we are coming up with the programs that we've just listed. That learners spend most of the day in learning institutions with the teachers, and therefore making teachers perform their roles as counselors for their learners at the school and classroom. As a teacher, because most of the time that the learners have in their educational line, in their time for learning, is actually in school. And so the teachers in school become counselors, become like parents. Yeah. When we look at the role of a classroom counselor, like when the class teacher is counseling her class or his class about poor performance, it is possible that at some point you might find yourself now dealing with individual problems among the learners. So it goes to that end. Now, what is the importance of guidance and counseling programs? What is the importance of guidance and counseling program? Is it really important to have guidance and counseling program?
Oh, it is very important. Very, very important. Very important.
Thank you, Mitch. Now you can tell us why you think it is important.
Thank you, Dr. I wish to say this not necessarily by writing because I feel I need to talk. Thank you for the chance. We are suffering from lack of guidance in our schools. And that's why I feel there are very many issues that are which have been listed in the chat section. And our children are indeed in need of help. Some of them are having coming from very broken homes. Others have just come out from issues to do with relationships. Others have come out from broken relationships, so to say. Others have been even raped. We have had cases where girls have been they have gone through incestuous kind of a relationship or a kind of a thing. And then these children come to school. When they come with that baggage, unless there is a program of on how you're going to help the children, some of them, they can even actually drop out of school. We have even had cases where students even want to commit suicide. If I may be very particular, we had a case of a student who slipped out from the laboratory with an acid, and he wanted to actually kill himself by drinking it. And thank God we arrested the issue. And actually when we found out, the reason was basically because he is coming from a very challenging home. So I want to underscore the fact that schools, we are really in need of this kind of a thing, and we need to up our game and help our students. Thank you, Dr. Ari.
Thank you very much. Catherine Jerry. Catherine Jerry? Or is it Catherine or Angela? Yeah, Catherine Jerry, please unmute yourself. Catherine Jerry? Wanzala? Catherine Wanzala? I gave you rights so that you can share. Are you able to tell us why you think guidance and counseling programs are important in our schools? Okay, now I'm giving people who are not ready to talk permission to talk. And okay, Sir Charles, you want to talk? Charles? We are not hearing anything, but I can see your mic moving.
Hello.
Yes? Continue.
Are you now getting me?
Yes, continue.
Are you getting me?
Yes, continue.
Yeah, I'm saying learners out there need role models. They need to be made aware that they are not alone in some of these issues that they are undergoing. There are many challenges that they are meeting at their level of growth. So guidance and counseling plays a very key role in my. Thank you. Thank you.
Sarado, I was asking Sarado now. Do you think guidance and counseling programs are important in schools?
I tend to think it is important. Why? Because hitherto, we would administer corporal punishment to students who committed mistakes here and there. That having been outlawed, the only instrument remaining on the ground is to employ guidance and counseling for the students who may go out of the way, especially when administering the school routine. So if it is emphasized and built, it can become a very good alternative to corporal punishment.
Thank you very much. Thank you even for thinking about corporal punishment. Now, it is possible that these are some of the responses that some of you could have given. That in guidance and counseling, our learners are given solutions on how to deal with psychosocial problems or issues. Learners are able to develop problem-solving skills. In the process of offering these services, remember the students are learning from us. They now start becoming problem solvers. If they face such a challenge in the future, they are able now to overcome it even without coming for counseling services. They can now deal with it on their own. Learners are advised on how to cope with different situations facing them in their school life. It helps to shape the learner's behavior and, of course, instill discipline. Learners who are guided and counseled in a right way They are able to live in harmony with others in the school community. Guidance and counseling programs bridge the gap between the learners and the school administration. The aspect of learner-friendly institutions come in, where the teachers are friendly to the learners and the learners are friendly to the teachers. And the learners get comprehensive pieces of advice on career, courses, jobs, etc. It also allows learners to talk about their various things which they feel uncomfortable to talk about, probably with their parents. Because now, as a teacher, a child will want to associate themselves more with you than with the parents. I don't know why children fear parents more than teachers. It allows the learners to become better people. We have challenges that require guidance and counseling, and we've talked about them. Beyond this list, I know we have already listed them, so we are not going to repeat the list. We have all this, and you actually talked about all this in the list that we shared. And so we must therefore talk about the components of counseling. And under this, we will be talking about personal development, social, emotional development, and career vocational development. Just like they have been, the components are, that is what they are. That when we are talking about counseling, we have to look at the individual as a person. Yeah? The development of a person. We have to look at the social, the emotional development of a person. We have to look at the educational, the way they are doing in their line of education, academics, co-curricular, and so on. We have to look at the future, career, vocational development. That whatever they are doing, looking at their talents, looking at their gifts, looking at their interests, is it geared towards what they can do then in the near future? So all these get into counseling. Now, how do we develop a guidance and counseling plan? I want somebody who is in this department of guidance and counseling, because out of the 336 in the room, I believe there is a number of us who are guidance and counseling teachers in that office of guidance and counseling. And I know one thing that you do is to develop a guidance and counseling plan. How is it done? Who can explain to us? Please use the chat, because already 15 people have raised their hands, so I cannot tell. Who can share this with us? Write on the chat that I can try, or I can respond to this, or just say I can, so that I give you rights to speak. Mitch and George and the people with rights already. Justin Bitange, thank you very much. Justin Bitange, please unmute yourself.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Frank from Nyamira County, Manga Model Girls. I want to attempt that. You had asked us how to develop a guidance and a counseling plan. I sit in the office of guidance in my school, and I want to say that as you start the year or as you start the term, you need to identify the basic issues already we have underlined above there. Give them timelines, give them the speaker, the person is going to speak, and also agree with the students. Especially we have a students board for guidance and counseling. We agree on the topics, the issues, then we identify the timelines, the topic, and the speaker. You could have had a guidance and the budget, of course, for each of them. I think that suffices for guidance and counseling plan. Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Anybody else? How do we develop a plan? What goes into a plan? Allow me to switch on lights because it's becoming dark. Okay, thank you very much for the explanation. Thank you very much for that explanation. I hope each one of us has learned something. What goes into a guidance and counseling plan? What is in that particular matrix? What must you put in? Thank you very much for opening our eyes and letting us know how to develop this plan. And when you are talking about developing a guidance and counseling plan, of course the aspects of time will come in, when to do it, who does it, the areas to handle, and so on and so forth. And so these are the key areas. You must think about the aspects of self-awareness, stages of counseling, the counseling skills that are available, how you're going to communicate. Are you going to use problem? Are you going to be silent? Are you going to be a silent listener? Or are you going to engage the client? Skills required of a good counselor. You need to know them so that you don't adulterate them. The role of the teacher as a counselor, the aspects of confidentiality and ethics of counseling, very important. And also of importance is the referral to other agencies or other people. Because there are circumstances where there is a certain case or there is a certain area you are handling and you're not 100% competent in it. For example, issues to do with devil worship in our schools. Yes, a child will come to you and open up and tell you, teacher, you know, I got into this thing and I don't know how to get out of it, because we have quite a number of children who do that. Now, because probably you don't know so much about devil worship, you might not want to engage yourself into it. You might want to go for spiritual referral. You might want to refer this child to somebody who has more knowledge about spiritual matters. In fact, it keeps me reminding one time when I employed a girl in my house, and after like 3 days, she opens up and tells me about her experience when she was a devil worshipper. You know, I got shocked. At first, I didn't know what to do. That night, I didn't sleep. As much as I am a Christian and I pray, and you know, we pray every day in my house. We read the word of God before we go to sleep, you know. And now here is a girl who has stayed with you for 5 days and she's not telling you from 2, this happened, there is this teacher, there is this lady who liked me so much. Anytime I went to her house, she used to give me this kind of drink, and one time I fainted and I went to Sijui under the sea. You know, the way she's describing, it's so real. Then you're like, oh my God. Then you're like, okay, now are you still there? Yet you know, I was prayed for, and then how do you know how what happens when you are going to the sea? Yet I faint. You see, as much as this girl was telling me I no longer got saved and what have you, I was still like in shock. I don't know if I should chase her away. I don't know what to do. I don't know how I'm leaving her with my children in the house. You know, that time I have a small baby, I have to go to work. The kind of person I'm living in the house with my child. somebody who has taken blood. These are real. These things are real. You need to know that. It is true. These things are there. So I go to my pastors in church. Not ready. They are like, no, that one we can't handle. Until now, I seek for further guidance from friends. And then one of my pastor friends sends me somebody who deals with deliverance from up country. He comes all the way to Nairobi just to pray for us in the house. And then talk to this girl and find out whether it is true she is delivered or not. So he prays for her and he assured us that she's okay, she's delivered. So we continue staying with this girl. At some point, I'm in church on a Saturday. I am my firstborn son calls that, oh, so and so has fainted, and she had told me when she's going to the sea, when she used to go to the sea, the first sign is she will die, she will faint. Hata mukimwamusha hata amuka because ayuko. So that day she faints. Then when my son told me, I told him, don't touch her, I am coming. So there I hurry, I get there and I find her seated. Then we start a conversation. What happened? Blah, blah, blah. You know, you get scared. So when you are not able to handle, please refer these cases to somebody who can manage that. And if I have to tell you this story, at the end, when I wanted her to go away, she refused. Alikataa kutoka kwangu. So I had to use my brothers to come and tell her, no, just go elsewhere, you know. But even after she went, I couldn't stay in that house. We had to relocate because we didn't want her to find us. So these things are there. Our children go through very difficult situations and we need to know how to handle them. If you're not able to handle, please refer. Because these things are real, they are there. From experience now, I'm telling you. Some of us, we say, hii vitu ni uongo. Sio uongo, ni ukweli. So when they are brought to you, you're not able to handle it. So when we are talking about self-awareness, this is a state of being conscious of one's thoughts, feelings, beliefs, behaviors, and attitudes, and knowing how these factors are shaped. That is now what we call self-awareness. Then we have stages of counseling, as I said. There are as follows. George, you can read for us.
Yes, I am here. Can I read this big one? Recently, I had a similar case with a student who one time, then, it's not very clear. Are you getting me? Hello?
Yes, you are audible. You are audible. You are audible.
Yes.
Very, very good. Very good. Now let me now read the charts. I went through the same. Thank God our pastor delivered her. Another one. Another one. Recently, I had a similar case with a student who one time was on class started saying that she wanted to take blood. That's it. Okay, let me read the other one. Very scary.
That one is very interesting. I wish you could finish that story. Yes.
That's a one as thirst of blood, human blood. She one end also went on to say that at times she is taken to the sea even while the teacher is teaching. I was in shock on this day. Looks like a nice story. Realities. Any other? She even
Okay.
confided. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. So when you are coming to counseling, these stages are very, very important. Don't just get in. You must start by interviewing, the interviewing stage, so that you can understand what is in it. Ask probing questions, yeah? Then you will have to start working after understanding the case that you're dealing with. Then work on it. After you have worked through with the counselee, you must get a point of terminating the counseling process. There has to be an end. Don't carry it on and on and on. You now become friends. You know, that is where we go wrong. That once I have assisted a learner, it extends until there is no end. Counseling must end. And after terminating the counseling whatever circle, there has to be a follow-up to find out whether that challenge was fully resolved. So these are the stages of counseling. So those people who've done a counseling course will either agree or not agree. But if you don't agree, please let us use the chat. Let us use the chat to learn more. Allow me to listen to my director briefly. Okay, so we are saying we have the counseling skills. Just like I said, you can do probing, you can empathize, you can reflect, you can listen, you can attend. Attending is when you are there, yeah? Talking, interviewing, and offering solutions. You can also be there to listen to what this child is giving you, to the story the child is giving. And we usually say in counseling, the counselee is always whether they are lying or not. There is something underlying, even if they are cheating you. So you will use what they are giving you to offer counseling. Then we have a skill that we are calling reflecting. You have to keep on reflecting. You have to look at probably your life. You see if there is anything you can pick from your life experiences and use it to help this counselee. There is the part of empathizing, feeling, really feeling for the counselee, and if possible, offering a helping hand. Empathizing is different from sympathizing, because in empathizing you do an action, you do something beyond just feeling pity. And then we have another skill that we call probing. Probing is now when you ask questions and questions, because you want to learn more, you want to go deeper, you want to really understand the situation before you start handling it. Now, what are the qualities of an effective counselor? It is important to know this. For one, because all of us are supposed to be counselors. These are very simple things that we can embrace. Empathy, being in the shoes of the client, feeling with them, yeah, whatever they are feeling like them. But of course, don't cry when they are crying. I used to have that challenge when I was a teacher. Sometimes I feel so bad, it gets into me until when the child is crying and I'm also wiping tears, yeah. So as a counselor, as much as we are talking about empathy, being in the shoes of the client, you need to be emotionally mature. Have what we call emotional intelligence. Because the child has come to lean on your shoulder. So if you're also showing the child that you're also weak, how will the child have confidence that you are going to help? So you need to overcome that. Then confidentiality. Nothing should leave the counseling room unless agreed upon. When is it agreed upon? When you are asking the counselee whether he or she can allow you to share with somebody else who can help her further, especially when we are talking about referrals. Don't go to the staff room and start saying, this girl has got this challenge, in the sense that you're thinking now the other teachers in the staff room will give you ideas. No. Clients' issues should end in the counseling room. When you come out of the counseling room, it is classwork and other things. Remain non-judgmental. A counselor is there to listen and not to condemn. Don't judge. Yeah? Even if you know the truth, don't ever judge. There is a child who came to me and gave me a story on how her parents died in an accident. And now, okay, she's an orphan. The parents died in an accident when they were traveling from Nairobi, and the car rolled. And then she was trying to give me the picture. Teacher, you see, that Cavalli, when you are moving down to Naivasha, then I'm like, oh yes, I know it. And you know, our car rolled. We were inside with my brother, my parents, and my sister. The car rolled. It rolled several times and ikahang kwa mti. You know, that is a story. It's fiction. I mean, it looks like fiction. But because you are not going, I was not supposed to judge. I took it like that. So now I was helping this child out of it, trauma of losing parents through a road accident. Then later I come to learn that the parents died and their younger sister because of HIV and AIDS. So the child was ashamed to say that I lost my parents to HIV and AIDS, and was now creating a story for me to see her as an orphan that needs like a mother in her life. That is exactly what she was communicating, that she needed me to work with her as a mother. So even as we're talking right now, this girl is in Australia. And anytime she's calling, anytime she's asking, how are my brothers, how are my sisters? The other day, my children were celebrating birthday. She sent 10,000 shillings. Then she's like, buy them something. You know, of course, it is not that I didn't finish the counseling. I finished the counseling. But because of the aspect of now giving this child a mother in her life, she has now remained like my daughter. Yeah? Then the aspect of attention. Listening. You need to be a good listener. Yeah? Give the client full attention. Well, don't interrupt the conversation. Allow the client to speak to the end before you start probing or before you start giving resolutions. You need to show interest. Some of us are too busy. Children come to us for counseling and like, you can come tomorrow. Please show some interest. Even if you don't have time, take a few seconds, a few minutes, and respond in a friendly way. Help the child feel like they are accepted in your life. And even the time you are setting, they can now come freely knowing that I'm going to somebody who is interested to help me. So show some interest. Be honest. Be honest. The information you are giving, let it be accurate and brief, precise. You need to be very honest. Even if you want to use personal experiences. I've had this in our churches when people are giving testimonies. Do you know that some of those testimonies are lies? I mean, when it comes to counseling, say the truth. And then respect the client's culture and beliefs. If the child is putting on the way the Muslims dress, what do they call that whatever scarf? Buibui and that thing, eh? Hiyo ya kufunga mpaka wanaacha macho, yeah? Don't start telling them, remove that thing. You start harassing them. It is their culture. It is their belief that they are not supposed to expose their head. Please respect. And then move at the client's pace. Give the client time and space. Don't be in a hurry. As much as we usually say that you have to limit as in you time your counseling session, as you lead and your timing. If you realize that this client is too slow, please adjust yourself. Be in control of the session. Stay focused on the counseling situation. Don't digress. Accept clients' problems. Don't show. Usianze kusema, hata wewe. Nilifikiria wewe ni mtoto mzuri. No, please. Don't show surprise. Don't be in shock in case the client tells you what you never thought they did. They have come to you for help. So don't show them that you are so surprised that they did that. Allow them to express themselves freely. Allow them to express their feelings. If they want to cry, let them cry. If they want to show anger, let them express the anger in front of you. Yeah? So that you help them to overcome the temperaments. If it is sadness, just allow them to express their feelings. Don't start telling them, forget about it. No. Allow them to feel. And importantly, in counseling, we encourage hugging. But because of the many things that are happening in our schools, we guide on how to hug and whom to hug. A male teacher is not allowed to hug a girl. A female teacher is not allowed to hug a boy. But the small children, that is children in grade 1, 2, 3, those ones have not started feeling those things. You can hug any. Are we together? In fact, when small children, you are hugging them, they really feel so good. So if carrots can hug, yeah, what about us? What about our children in school? So if you're of the same gender, feel free and hug that girl when you're finishing the session. If you're a man, hug that boy when you're finishing the session. That aspect of acceptance comes in. Now, what is the role of the teacher as a counselor? They're the same things. Yeah? You guide in career selection, subject selection, role model. You inspire the learners. You are a source of inspiration to them. You are responsible to build their character. As a teacher, you are a bridge. You connect the parents and the schools. Yeah? Because learner success in the educational pursuits become possible when you, the parent and the student, work together. So you are like a bridge. You are the one in between to ensure that they realize this success. Okay, the next unit is on discipline. And this unit, under discipline, we will discuss the concepts of discipline, rationale for discipline, discipline methods, misbehavior, delinquency, techniques of discipline, and discipline plan. Why do you think we need to talk about discipline within guidance and counseling? Why is it important? Why do we have to talk about discipline in guidance and counseling? Somebody to attempt that? Is it important to talk about discipline? Is it important? Somebody says, I'm willing to hug all of you virtually. Oh, yes. Receive my hug. I wish it was a counseling session. Thank you very much. Yes, it is. Caroline? Peter Wangler? Yes, it is. Why do you think it is important? Peter, allow me to give you the right to speak so that you tell us why you think it is important for us to talk about discipline. Peter Wangler? Please unmute yourself and talk to us. Peter? Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Yes, we are hearing.
Yeah, it is important to talk about discipline because most of indiscipline cases are the matters we deal with in guidance and counseling. In most cases, so it is important to talk about discipline when it comes to guidance and counseling.
I want to try.
Yeah.
Yes. Continue.
I want to try.
Yes. Continue, Sarado.
Oh, I was about to say that there is a positive correlation between discipline and performance, classroom performance. And so when we talk about matters of discipline, it is a vehicle leading to greater performance. A student who is disciplined will love the teacher and will love the subject the teacher is teaching. And that discipline will propel the student to pass. In the other way around, an indisciplined student will hate the teacher, hate the subject, and fail at the long run. So discipline is a key aspect of our study. It is important.
Yes. It is very true. Somebody else wants to say something? Peter Wangler, mute yourself. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Discipline, discipline, discipline. And remember, we are saying we have what we call a paradigm shift. Anytime discipline was mentioned, probably when I was in school in the 90s, it was about negative connotation. It's like, hey, discipline, it is just bad. And whatever will follow, it is just something bad, something that will hurt. Yeah? But now we are saying we need to start thinking about, we are talking about discipline measures that are positive. What is positive? What is positive discipline? How can we do it in the correct manner? And so that brings me to the question, what is then discipline? What is discipline? Who can answer that using the chat? What is discipline? Acceptable standard behavior. Good. What is discipline? Yeah, somebody has said some children take advantage of counseling. Yeah, it is true. They do, but you have to be wise. That is why you need to ask for wisdom. Yeah. Discipline is doing the right thing. It is corrective, the way to behave, good manners. It's doing the right thing the right time to correct a behavior positively, behaving right. It is reinforced, acting morally upright, acceptable behavior, guiding standards, doing right things when no one is watching, very true. Doing the right thing at the right time, having good virtues, awesome. Having good character, yeah, all that. Using common knowledge, behaving in a right way, training people to behave in the best way possible, being morally upright. Thank you very much. Obedience, obey code of behavior, being able to obey rules. Wow. Now, all that, actually, you know what discipline is. Now, from that perspective of knowledge, let us look at what the law says about corporal punishment in the Constitution. Yeah? The Constitution provides that a child has the right to be protected from abuse, neglect, harmful cultural practices, all forms of violence, inhuman treatment, and punishment, and hazardous or exploitative labor. So this is the point that brings us to the aspect of coming up with a legal notice under the Basic Education Act of 2013 that provides for disciplinary procedures. And number 58 of 2001, there was the ban of corporal punishment in schools. Why did we ban corporal punishment in schools? Because corporal punishment was inflicting a lot of torture, a lot of pain, physical, emotional, psychological pain on our learners. When you tell children to walk on their knees, on a sandy ground from point A to point B, what are you doing? Really? At the end of that, their knees are all red with blood. That is torture. That is what corporal punishment used to do to us. And in any case, if anybody asked you to look at your teachers when you were growing up, comparing that teacher in a friendly way and that teacher who was always ready to put something on your back because you have done a mistake, which teacher will you remember as a good teacher? Which teacher will you remember as a bad teacher? Is it that teacher who corrected you as a parent, or that teacher who used to beat you like an animal? As much as we keep arguing that I am what I am today kwa sababu nilichapwa, let's be honest. The experiences that probably you went through when somebody alikuchapa kama mnyama, and when somebody alikuchapa akikueleza that this is wrong, you should have done this, which one will you recall and appreciate that it helped you? Those are rhetorical questions. And so that is why we have alternative forms of discipline. The alternative forms of discipline include what we are calling positive reinforcement. Reinforcing positive behavior. Even if it is something negative, using positive behavior to reinforce, to have the child change behavior. Rado, you're saying something?
No, just proceed.
All right, thank you. And then we have guidance and counseling, what we've just been talking about. We also have what we call alternative punishments. As much as we are using the word punishment, we are saying it is a punishment, yes, but it is not inflicting pain. For example, if you gave the learners some chore, some work that is constructive for them to do. For example, asking them to sweep their classroom. In the process, they will be learning a skill. They'll be learning how to work. It is something that will help them in future, so that they don't imagine that sweeping a class is really bad. You put it in a way that you are using that to help them learn, not uprooting a child. Seriously, weeding flower beds is okay. It shouldn't be taken to be like it is very negative to take a djembe and weed. In actual sense, what we are advocating, that all children in our schools should touch the djembe and go to the garden. So it shouldn't be looked at negatively. And then setting rules and expectations. That if you do this, this will happen. If you don't do this, this will happen. So those are alternative forms of discipline. When we are talking about positive school discipline, this is actually a comprehensive approach that we use to teach rather than punish. And as a result, the child is helped in one way or another to succeed and thrive. Yeah? When you get into using this kind of approach, you promote what we call positive student behavior while preventing negative and risky behaviors. Our children, sometimes when you are so harsh on them, they even become worse. But when they realize that you are friendly, you do them in a humane way, they will easily change. That is why, as much as kiboko ni mzuri, of course I know the Bible says, spare the rod, spoil the child. The Bible does not say, hit the child until they die. No. So that is, in fact, the reason as to why corporal punishment was banned is because some teachers were now becoming emotional. Yeah? Mtoto amefanya makosa ndio. Badala ya kumsaidia aelewe ni makosa, abadilishe, unataka kuua, ni kama unaua nyoka. So, in fact, some children, we lost some children because of corporal punishment. And so it had to be banned. And so to overcome that, we must have an alternative, and the alternative is positive discipline. Now, what are the components of positive discipline? Yeah? We are talking about teaching a child what behavior is okay and what behavior is not okay. I want you to do something for me where you are seated. I want you to take your two hands like this. Take your two hands like this. Rado will tell you, I don't know how to teach without an activity. Even online, we can do an activity. Okay, try to do this. Are you seeing what I'm doing? Rado, what am I doing?
It is like you are waving. Let me see it again.
I've taken my hands. I am doing this. What am I doing?
You are scratching.
You are scratching. You are scratching.
Yeah.
Yes. Can everybody do this? Everybody, can you do this?
I'm doing it.
Good. Mitch, when do you do this? When do you scratch?
Thank you, madam. When I have been bitten by a mosquito, just like now.
in essence, what are we saying? When you are itching, isn't it?
Yes.
Itching. Now, what will happen if you don't scratch that itch?
Oh, I can assure you I'll be so uncomfortable. Actually, there is already a swelling there. So by scratching, I'm soothing the place.
Good. So if you don't scratch the itch, you will continue itching. When you realize that this child's behavior is wanting, please take it up and address it immediately. Don't throw it. Somebody said throwing things under the carpet. Don't imagine that these children will get to know the right behavior on their own. Please scratch the itch. Talk about that situation there and then. And even if it is not there and then, don't take long before you address the situation. The focus of positive discipline is on what children are expected to do and what they are allowed to do. Yeah? It also includes modeling appropriate behavior. When you as a teacher want them to behave this way, can you start by modeling? In the competency-based curriculum, we are focusing so much on values, core values. And we say that core values cannot be taught. They can only be caught. When you want to help a child be able to learn a value and demonstrate it, you by modeling. The children will not know what love is until you show them love. Children are held responsible for their misbehavior, but the consequences are meaningful and related to the behavior. Don't reprimand. Don't give a punishment that is not going to help the child overcome that particular misbehavior. There are three R's of Logical consequences when it comes to positive discipline. One is respect, another one is relevance, another one is realistic. Ensure that in what you are saying, in how you are doing things, verbally and non-verbally, you are showing respect to these children. Let them not feel like they are not respected, because if you don't show them respect, they will not respect you. Relevance. Whatever form of positive discipline you are employing, let it be relevant, be related, logically related to the child's action. And the aspect of being realistic, yeah? It should be realistic. The consequence should be merging with the misbehavior. Logical consequences are respectful of the child's dignity. Remember, I said dignity of the person is number one. While punishment often calls upon the element of shame. When you're telling a child to uproot a stump of a tree the whole day, the others are passing by and seeing the girl uprooting the stump every other time. Can you imagine the self or whatever esteem of this child? What is happening in their mind? That is how some of them go out and commit suicide. Logical consequences respond to the misbehavior in ways that preserve the dignity of the child. The message is that the behavior is a problem, not the child. It is not the child who is a problem. It is the behavior. Yeah? It is the behavior. You want to do away with the bad behavior, not the child. So when you punish the child instead of working on the behavior, then the aspect of logic misses out. If a learner breaks the rules, how can we handle the situation using positive discipline? We are simply saying, give them a chance. Allow them and give them an opportunity to explain why. Don't just start punishing. Please allow them to ask them the question, why did you do this? Let them explain. Help them understand how they can follow the rules better in the future. Set and help them understand the logical consequences of their actions. And this has to follow the 3 R's: realistic, respectful, and relevance. At some point, you might need even to consult their parents about improving their behavior. That is why in CBC we have what we are calling parental empowerment and engagement, because we want parents to work with their children. Matters of the child's life, it's not about the teacher. The parent needs to be involved 100%. When a teacher beats a child for breaking a rule, the child is left confused. This mode of discipline is teacher-centered and removes responsibility from the child. When we're talking about discipline, when we're talking about positive discipline, we want the child to own the mistake and to own the remedy. Yeah, they will obey as long as you are around. That is when you are using corporal punishment, and so it is not sustainable. In the 21st century, we want to go in for modes or methods of discipline that are sustainable, something that will leave a mark in the life of this child. Like there is a story that goes around in social media about one day a teacher in a class gets to a class and their watch is lost. When the child lost their watch, what did the teacher do? He said, let me have all of you in a single line. I will check your desks and check your pockets. So you can be sure there is one student who had the watch, because the watch disappeared when they were in class. So the teacher went, opened all the locks, there was no watch, and then started thought about what he can do so that he can save the person who has the watch in case he finds it in somebody's pocket. Then he tells the children, I will want you to close your eyes. I will also close my eyes. In fact, he didn't tell them that he had closed his eyes. They all closed their eyes as the teacher was searching their pockets. In the meantime, the teacher had closed his eyes. So he searched and finally found the watch. He took the watch but continued to search till the last person. So that tells you that every child's pocket was touched. And at the end of the search, the teacher told them, you can now open your eyes. Let's go back to class. I have found the watch. Yeah? So this child who had taken the watch was fearful, of course, because he didn't know what the teacher was going to do, what the teacher was going to say, how the teacher was going to punish him. But finally, the teacher gave the watch to the owner. And the teacher said nothing. Days went, months went, until the child finished his exams and went. Some years later, this child meets this teacher. And this child retorts and tells the teacher, you are the best person in my life. Then the teacher is like, what do you mean? I don't understand. Then this child now tries to remind the teacher, you remember when we were in this grade? There's a time our watch got lost and you told us to close our eyes. But you never reprimanded me. You never told me anything. But from that time, I told myself I will never steal. Then the teacher told this student that I didn't even know it was you. Because while I was searching your pockets, my eyes were also closed. So that is the kind of things that we are talking about. That when it comes to positive discipline, you have to be sensitive to the feelings of the learners. And you can be sure from that end, this child will forever remember this teacher because of what he did. The next unit is on adolescent growth and development. Adolescent growth and development. This is a very interesting unit because in this unit we are discussing adolescent development, we are discussing adolescence and intimacy. Do you think it is important to talk about this? Adolescence and intimacy?
Very important.
Then we are having, yes, we are having an area where we are discussing adolescent sexuality and reproductive health. We are also having an area where we are discussing adolescence and morality. So these are the topics under this unit. Why is this unit important? In this 21st century, our children are undergoing a lot of pressure because of social media. Even that child whom you imagine is very innocent, that child is not. Not all. Of course, we have a few that are innocent, but not all. And never should you say that my child is okay. When they get to this stage, anything can happen. Hata kama ni mtoto wa nani. Adolescence is adolescence. The feelings are the same. When they see a male teacher, they see a boyfriend. When they see a man, they are thinking about sex. In actual sense, during the fire, this time when we had fires, there is a school somewhere where my colleague went to. As a member of the board members were asking the students, they were girls, why are you doing this? Why are you planning to burn your school? You remember that time when they were in school during December holidays? Imagine a student stood up with all the confidence and told the board in the presence of the headmistress or the head teacher that we want to go home and have sex. Can you imagine? with all the boldness. What makes them become that courageous? While we, parents, imagine that these are our babies. They know nothing. Yeah? But to the point where children are now talking openly and telling adults without fear, without shame, that we usually have sex in December. We want to go home and have sex. What is that? Really? Where did we take, where have we thrown what we call morality? And these challenges basically happen during the adolescence stage. That is why when it comes to this point, as much as I'm teaching you virtually, take time, read the notes, and where we have activities. During break time, as you're taking tea with your colleagues in the staff room, I said discussion is discussion regardless whether they are in your class doing the diploma or not. As you're taking tea, pose the question to the staff and let the other teachers share in the discussion. In the process, you are picking points, you are learning, you are helping the rest. You are helping even the others to think about these aspects that we usually say they are secluded. We are not supposed to talk about them openly. If we don't talk about them, who will? If I don't tell my girl, you are now growing, you are beautiful, you need to take care of yourself. Men will look at you, boys will look at you, and the only thing they can live with you is a pregnancy and spoil your life. If I don't do it, who will? So when we come to these activities, please let's talk about them vividly with the mind that we want to help our children. Let us not keep quiet and say things are okay. Things are not okay. So this topic is very, very critical, and please open up. Open up. If you're that person who is like reserved like I used to be, that me, I'm a Christian, I can't talk about these things, please open up. Whether Christian or not Christian, our children are suffering. Please let us look for a way to help them overcome this. So this unit is all about that. Their physical development, social development, brain development, and cognitive development. When it comes to adolescent and intimacy, we are going to look. We are looking at changes in the nature of friendship, the way they get attracted to the opposite sex, changes in the display of intimacy, changes in the targets of intimacy, friendships with the other sex. They don't want to associate with their fellow same gender students. They want to associate with the other one. Like there is a school where it is a mixed school. There's this girl who was always with the boys. Later, it was noticed that the reason as to why this girl was always with the boys is because she was trafficking drugs. Yeah? And so because drugs are usually used by boys, I don't know. So this girl was more of inclined towards being a friend to the boys until it was noticed and something was done about it. Aspects to do with dating and romance. Our children start dating as early as class 5, grade 5. Imagine. Yeah. What will happen by the time they finish class 8? What will happen by the time they get to secondary school and finish from yani watakuwa wamefanya vitu gani seriously? I think some of us tulikuwa tu wajinga tukigrow up, and I think hiyo ujinga ilitusaidia because yeah, it is true. I remember after high school nikipata mvulana kwa njia iti ananisimamisha anataka kuniongelesha ninakimbia and leave alone kukimbia, ninaenda ninaambia baba yangu, na vile baba yangu ni mkali anaenda anaambia mzazi wa huyo mtoto, talk to your boys. You know, my father was very harsh on that. And
wisdom.
I think you ilitusaidia. I don't know how many of us were wajinga like me, but our children are too sharp. You cannot even tell what they are doing. You can't tell. Get their diaries. If it is a girl, names of boys twisted, you know, you cannot tell it is boys they've written there, and so on and so forth. So there are quite a number of things that we need to talk about here. Now, who are the youth at risk? What can be done towards handling youth sexuality problems? I wish I could open up this discussion so that we all talk. Who are the youth at risk? Who wants to start this conversation for us? Who are the youth at risk? Catherine Wanzala, do you want to start it? Okay, I have Catherine Wanzala, Catherine Wangari, Peter Wangla, Mitch. Please open up. At least you have given you rights. You can unmute yourself. Thank you, Mitch.
Okay, I think I'll say the youth who are at risk are actually the people who are between the adolescent age and below 35 years.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people who are at a greater risk, because this is a period when these people are in transition. There's the element of transition. So there's a lot of bad, in quotes, advice out there. There is an influence of the media. So there's a lot of influence to the negative side of life. So my take is these are the people between the teenage and below 35. Thank you, madam.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. There are some answers on the chat, Sarado.
Yeah, let me be there. Can I read them? All are at risk. All youths. I thank God ujinga wangu ulinisaidia sana. All youths, the ones who are seriously tamaking for jobs, youths, those below 19 years, 12 to 18, 15 to 35, the orphans and the street children, teenagers, youths in urban areas, centers, youth who have young parents, adolescents, ladies from humble backgrounds, those at dating stage and job seeking, all youths, 18 to 35. Ujinga was good and social media will mess them. All are at risk. Those in campus, those who lack proper guidance, those in university and colleges, all of us, 9 to 18 years, those in the romantic relationships, all the youth who have no good role models. Can I proceed?
I'm laughing at the letter. Continue.
Can I proceed? Okay.
Yes, please.
Youth who are vulnerable to drug abuse and social behavior. Youth who have young parents, 16 to 24 years. All youths in all parts of the country. Adolescents, those who lack basic necessities. Everybody. And the layer, yeah. Female combatants, lesbians and gays, introverts, teens, undergraduates, graduates seeking jobs, orphans, 0 to 40. Hey, all youth.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rado.
Okay.
Yeah, now that you've been reading, what can be done towards handling youth sexuality problems? I want to start with you, Sarado.
Thinking broadly, we can introduce sex education in school to help diffuse some of this team that is with the adolescent. Some of us have kept it as a bad omen to talk about sexuality and tell young people what it is all about, and we allow them to invent on their own. It becomes more risky. So I propose for sex education in the curriculum.
Somebody else? What can be done?
Okay, may I say something, madam?
Yes.
Yes, I think I concur with my co, but also I want to add that we need to bring in the aspect of parental responsibility, because some of these children are coming from homes where the parents are a little bit innocent and semi-illiterate, in the sense that we can even call them at school and enlighten them. We can even have conferences purely for, probably can talk about a Form 1, let's say it's a high school Form 1 class conference. And besides looking at the academic excellence of the children, we can have a time with the parents and educate them and tell them, basically, we offer some advice concerning the world out there and the exposure our children have been led to. And as a result of that, they go home with the knowledge, and they're rich in the sense that they can also play a role that them alone can do. Parental responsibility is my point.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. That is very true. And there is so much on the chat. There is so much. In fact, our colleagues are having a lot of ideas that can work if we tried them. Maybe we can pick on the areas that are being posted on the chat and see whether we can have this conversation in our schools. Don't assume that your school is special. Please don't. Yeah? Medina is in a national school.
Yeah. I think
and
I like
at one point.
Okay.
Sorry. Yes, which one?
There's this one that has been put forward by one of us about integrating life skills in our schools. That is a very, 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 very important aspect of bringing into light some of these issues. If every school is able to embrace the life skills, which sometimes they have actually termed as a very boring kind of a lesson, if it is well done and well conducted by people who are very serious in helping the kids, it can really help us in arresting some of these issues that are happening in our institutions. Thank you.
Thank you. In fact, there is something that we used to call open what? Open talk? What was it? Was it open talk or something like that?
Open
where
talk.
We could, yeah, something we need to have
forum.
open forums, you know. Yeah, where we can even guide them.
Kamkunji ya watoto.
Yeah. Straight, yes, I was looking for this straight talk.
Straight talk.
Straight talk, yes, straight talk. We need to have more of these straight talks. And let us stop fearing those children. They are children. I mean, ni watoto. My 22-year boy is a child to me. I can tell him anything and everything about sexuality. Yeah? What about the children in your schools? Ni watoto. Please, let's not fear them. Let's talk to them and be vivid, because we want to help them. If you don't tell them, nobody will. Parents fear them. Mujue tu hivyo. Wazazi hata waongee hiyo mambo nyumbani. So God has given you an opportunity to help these children. And when we come to youth and morality, we will talk about moral development, stages of moral development. We have what we call the pre-conventional level, the conventional level, the post-conventional level, and then aspects to do with faith development. In faith development, we have youth and religion, positive impact and negative impact. So these are some of the aspects, some of the things that you're going to read when it comes to that topic under youth and morality. Then we have the other unit on crisis and trauma intervention. I'm trying to do this because we have very few minutes remaining. I usually do my training. I'm sorry, wale mmezoea less than 3 hours. My people will tell you, and I don't know how to train less than 3 hours. So nivumilie tu tutamaliza, yeah? So we have crisis and trauma intervention. Under this, we will be looking at what is trauma. what is a crisis. Yeah, essentially look at the overview, the various types of trauma, and then response to crisis and to trauma. How do we respond to crisis? How do we respond to trauma? And then there is a disorder that we call post-traumatic stress. Yeah, it is a disorder when children have burnt their dorm, and in the process probably somebody dies. Whoever did that, do they remain normal? They will always have some disorder. How do you deal with that? Then youth aggression and violence, suicidal behavior, because this is very common nowadays. Then we have the self-care skills when it comes to crisis and trauma interventions. So I don't want to go into reading, but you know what a crisis is, yeah? A situation that cannot be tolerated. You know what trauma is. A traumatic event causes physical, emotional, psychological, and mental harm. Now, what are some of the instances that can cause trauma? Maybe we can list them down very fast so that we go through this very fast. Traumatic events, rape. Let me see if I can. Somebody's asking for the registration form. Do you think registration is important than the learning? Please, no. Don't mind about registration. But
Easy
let me see if I
TPD.
can get the registration form. Yes? You need TPD. You see TPD. You need diploma in leadership and management. Somebody's asking whether this is TPD. I had asked a colleague to help me with the form. Let me see. Sarado, I don't know if you can pick the form from. Let me see if it can open, because somebody wants to register. Somebody wants to register.
Ile ya kulipa 1,000.
Hapana. Si ya
Yeah,
kulipa
register
1,000.
attendant.
Kuna ya module 8 registration. Let me see if it is opening so that you help me put it on the chat.
We are waiting for it dearly.
It is opening. So I will send it to your WhatsApp wall. Uniweke hapo.
Okay.
Are you able to put it on the chat?
I will.
Can you put it? You will.
I will copy and then I paste.
I think I like that. Because I'm using my laptop.
Yeah.
I don't want to
and then I paste.
Ndio nataka kukuwekea kwa inbox.
Okay.
Okay. Can you send me a message to my inbox so that I get you very fast?
Immediately. Let me do, boss.
Yeah, so that we can share. And meanwhile, Mitch, please read what your colleagues are writing, so that
okay.
we don't digress.
Yeah. Good. Fatal illness, traumatic incidents, fires, murder. There is rape. There is torture. There is send. Rape, abortion, forced marriages, leaking exams leading to Counsel of grades of adolescence. I think I like this one. Violent criminal crimes, accidents, peer suicides. There is attendance.
Criminal crimes.
Important, but let us follow classes keenly, guys. Okay. That could be a crisis of its own. Death, COVID-19, broken families, starvation. Oh, starvation. That's a thing. Death, failing a national exam. There is failing a national exam. Another one is saying the same. Okay. There is loss of a sibling. There is a war, terminal illness, diagnosis. There is broken families, war, drunkard parents, poor grades, rejection by parents. But this is very common. There is what else? Leaking exams. There is rape. There is breaking engagement. I don't know whether it is with children, abortion, loss of a member of the family, probably multiple sexual partners by parents, bankruptcy of parents. Oh, that's awesome. Addiction cases. Yeah, we have discrimination, death of a loved one, political violence, failing of examination, there's alcoholism, huge fees arrears. The student is ever sent home for fees, being affected or infected by a terminal illness. Yeah, there are quite a number. And the bullying, devilish attacks, banditry attacks, poor grades. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Now, the form will be shared.
I'll share it already.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'll share it already.
You've talked about all this. Kuna kitu hamkuongea hapa?
All that has been said. All this has been said, apart from maybe a natural disaster, unemployment, unexpected pregnancies. Those are probably what I've not seen, but all of them, 95% has been said.
Thank you very much. So those are situations that may cause trauma, and when we have that, there has to be intervention. So there is a topic on crisis intervention, because every crisis is different, and all crises require immediate intervention, so as to reduce the intensity of the reaction of the crisis and be able to restore the affected individual back to normal functioning, to function the way they functioned before the crisis. That is what we are calling pre-crisis functioning. Then there are the disorders that I also talked about, which is a reaction to an extreme traumatic event. Yeah? And this can be seen by the individual experiencing the trauma through maybe nightmares, flashbacks, memories. Sometimes when they are in class, they are just lost, they are not there. Then there is the avoidance of internal and external cues, increased arousal. You find students who can even jump over the fence so that they can go and look for sex, somebody to have sex with. Then we have emotional numbing, where the individuals are like, they don't even care, they are detached, they don't even feel anything. Even if you talk to them, it's like you're talking nothing, they're not hearing, they have actually lost interest. And so that is how you get to know when somebody has got that disorder. And then the causes of traumatic stress in children and adolescents are the same as what we discussed earlier. So there's no big difference there. And how to treat this, how to treat post-traumatic stress disorder. You can do what we call group therapy, especially when you realize that it is affecting many children, or one child is infecting the others with their whatever disorder. There is psychiatric medication. There is medication for it. You can have them go to the hospital and be given medicine. And then there is education for client and family about the safe, and as well as cognitive or behavioral therapy. So there is therapy. There is real therapy that is beyond counseling and guidance. And then there is a topic of youth aggression and violence. How do you notice this when there is bullying in school, when there are children who bully others? Yeah, these are children that need to be helped. Exhibiting aggression behavior. They are shouting, they are harassing others, being trounced, being arrested below age 14. You keep to wonder, mtoto miaka 14 and less, eti anaenda children's what? You know, it is some things, you know, you cannot even understand how they happen. And then belonging to delinquents, children abusing alcohol and drugs, and also engaging in antisocial behavior. So when we talk about youth and aggression, those are the things that you're going to look at. Youth violence preventive programs, there are quite a number, and others you can be creative and come up with them. We can come up with mentoring programs, anger management counseling programs, social problem solving programs, bully prevention programs, institutional based gang prevention programs, multi-systematic therapy programs. Now, looking at the programs that we discussed at the beginning, the guidance and counseling programs, there are some programs that will be skewed towards the challenge that we are having in school. For example, if there is bullying, you will have a program to talk about bullying and how to go about it, how to deal with it. So that is what we are saying. Let us think about the challenges that we are having in our schools and even propose to the department concerned that please talk about this. And sometimes when these talks are going on, let us not detach ourselves from them. Let us not say, hiyo ni guidance and counseling, wanaongea na wanafunzi. Please be part. Remember, hawa watoto wote ni wetu. Encourage all the teachers in the school to participate in guidance and counseling programs. Because one day, it will even affect you. Your own child will be going through a challenge, and because you never attend the guidance and counseling sessions, you will not have even an idea of what you need to do or what you ought to do. And remember, I said we live to learn and learn to live. So let us continue. When we have these opportunities in school, a guest has been brought to school to talk about a certain topic. Please attend. Just go and listen. Aita kutoa some of your akili. Just go and listen. You will learn something. Then the second last topic is on peer counseling. Under this, we are having the overview of peer counseling, importance of peer counseling, role and qualities of peer counselors, peer counseling models and methods, how to establish a peer counseling program, and also the challenges of peer counseling. It is important to know that when we are talking about peer counseling, just like a counselor is supposed to be tooled, skilled, with knowledge, appropriate knowledge, skills, and attitude, so should the peer counselors. Children don't know anything. It is only that by looking at their character, we identify them to be peer counselors. But they don't know what goes into counseling. So they need to go through sessions to be given the counseling skills, how to counsel, yeah? The etiquette, the etiquette, whatever is required in counseling, and so on and so forth. Aspects to do with confidentiality, they need to know these things. Don't just assume, okay, their friends have picked them, they are peer counselors. So what? They know nothing. Please get sessions and train them. Because peer counseling has to do with offering advice, offering support. And the person who is offering support needs to be more knowledgeable than the person who is being offered the support. And so these peer counselors need to be trained, and beyond training, they need to be supervised because they are just children. They can also be undergoing the same challenges that their peers are undergoing. It is important to have peer counselors in school because this is one way of dealing with large number of students and reaching out to each one of them, because the peer counselors are very close to them. Since they are with them in school, they are with them in class all the time, they are with them in the dormitory, in the dining, and so on and so forth. And therefore, counseling is effective. It improves the self-esteem of the learners who are chosen as peer counselors. There is the aspect of accessibility. It is effective. They have special insights. It is non-threatening because these are peers. And the counseling can happen at any environment, even the informal environment. And then, of course, there is quicker outreach, and the aspect of empathy now comes in because they feel for each other so easily. So for anybody to be identified as a peer counselor, this person has to be a people person, have a strong sense of self-esteem, yeah? Believe in respect, non-judgment, accepting the different views, personally secure, not somebody who is insecure. They share important qualities with the others. Persons who do not try to control or direct, they shouldn't be domineering. Yeah, they shouldn't look like they know it all. No, if it is somebody who knows it all, this person will not be able to help anyone. And then these are people who others are comfortable to be around. Somebody who is likable, like when it is so and so, oh, this one is a friend to everyone, so the others will easily approach them and share their problems. Okay, so just like we have guidance and counseling programs, we have peer counseling programs in our institutions. And I want us to dwell briefly on the second question. What are the challenges of peer counseling? We are almost finishing. We are remaining with one unit. Let us use the chat very fast. What are the challenges of peer counseling? What are the challenges of peer counseling? Misunderstanding. Kuria said misunderstanding. Another one, time factor, leaking information. Some are repellent, lack of time, too emotional, inadequate skills, mistrust, can easily be compromised. They take it as a joke, judgmental, cultural differences, victims, sometimes can mislead. Yes, it is true. The aspects of confidentiality, emotional, not keep information as a secret, misleading. Some peers lack technical knowledge, bias. They don't take them seriously. They lack time. Introverts can't be helped. Communication barriers. Lack of guidance and counseling departments in some schools. Peer counselors lack adequate skills. Identification of peers, attitude. It is expensive. Is it expensive really? Some have challenges. Maybe somebody will tell us how it is expensive. Tarau. Peter, is that Kikuyu? Tarau. What is that?
The police.
Time, lack of confidentiality. Same age, that's little experience, that is true. May go beyond counseling. Lack of time. Yeah, it may go beyond counseling. Sometimes it goes to the point of now people now start engaging in very funny behaviors like lesbianism and homosexuality. Compete prefects. Yes, it is true. Lack of moral authority. Delinquent behavior. Teach and go home slogan. Biasness. Thank you very much. Lack of concern, and so on and so forth. Thank you very much. So it is true the challenges are there, but we need to think about how to overcome them. Because for sure, we need peer counselors in our schools. And we can have an effective peer counseling program where we identify the right peer counselors. Rather, the others identify them and you coach them to become peer counselors before you now can allow them to go out and support their colleagues. And finally, we are coming to the end. We've actually come to the end. The last topic is on, the last unit is on career guidance. And under this career guidance, critically, we will look at the overview, the functions of career counselor, career information and dissemination, career development and gender issues, talent recognition of learners, very important, employability skills. When we are talking about career, we are thinking about the future of the child. Remember when I started, we said we have to look at the past, the present, and the future. And so the future, we are looking at what will this child become after this stage. Employability skills, do they have them? Public relations, PR, public relations skills, career development plans, and so on and so forth. I wanted to move ahead, not backwards. So when you're talking about career guidance, I know you know what it is all about. We are talking about linking what they are learning in school to their occupational choices and to manage their careers. Simply that. So that they are not just beating around the bush. If a child is dreaming to become a medical doctor in future, what areas should they concentrate on? Yeah? What kind of talents should they put into practice, and so on and so forth? Now, what are the goals of career guidance? We are thinking about lifelong learning goals. We are looking at the labor market. What really is needed out there? These are children in Form 3, Form 2, Form 1. After how many years will they get out there to the labor market? What skills are projected to be wanted at that time, so that they start working towards that? And then the social equity and social inclusion goals. Beyond that, recognition of learners is also very important, because we are talking about special abilities or aptitudes. The way you can see the learners do things, because these learners can be talented in different ways. Somebody likes drawing, likes modeling. This learner is talented in art. Somebody likes dancing, likes singing. This learner is talented in music. In other words, we want to help our learners become mathematicians, musicians, artists, creative thinkers, dancers, and so on and so forth, depending on what they are good at. Often children show their talent from a very early age. You can tell this one will become a footballer. Like my baby in grade 2. Yeah? Even children in the compound who are in class 6, they always come looking for Joseph before they start their football game. Why? Because they are saying, Joseph ndio anatupanga. Mtoto mdogo, na hawa ni watu wakubwa. So you can be able to tell that Joseph is talented in sports. Then learners' talents are exposed based on the encouragement they receive.
Okay.
Yes, you want to say something? You want to read what is on the chat? Continue. Written anything? I heard you speak. That is why I paused. Okay. Learners' talents are exposed based on the encouragement that they received from us, their mentors, guardians, parents, and even the people that surround them, maybe in church and so on and so forth. They may see a particular skill in someone and admire it and try to practice it constantly. And in the process, they become experts. Yeah, because we say practice makes perfect. Now, what are the strategies for recognizing and developing talents? We are saying we have to be alert to the signs that our children are showing for us to identify their talents so that we can nurture them. We can assist them, nurture them. Then we need to structure learning activities that will give the learners an opportunity to demonstrate their talent. Yeah? Like in some schools, I know you have what you call talent show. I'm a talent what? Munahitaji rado hiyo? Where the children go showing the way they can catwalk, they can do what, sijui Miss what and Mr. what.
I normally see them in our school in the culture week. They are called creative arts and things that I don't understand.
Please be interested.
Okay.
Just be interested. Yeah. And then use praise to recognize and reinforce signs of talent. Help learners who have talent in particular areas. Locate resources in the school or in the community to foster their talents. And also bring in the parent. Let the parent help you even identify and nurture their children's talents. The aspect of employability is very important because we have to think about out of what they are able to do, will they get employed? Not necessarily white-collar jobs, even self-employment. Self-employment is also employment. I know, Radu, if I open up this topic of employability, now that you are geography, you will tell me so much.
Yes, I will tell you a lot.
And because of the time, I want us to carry on this conversation in our WhatsApp groups.
Chat.
Why are we bringing in the topic of employability? Under career guidance. Somebody's mic is on. Who is that? Somebody is making noise. Ninan? Whose mic is on, Rado? Please check and mute them because I can't see. Thank you. So we are finishing. Don't run away. Watu wengine wamejaza form wakaenda. It is not so much about the form, remember. It is about the difference that you're going to make after this. Personally, as a learning facilitator, it is about live, inspire, and transform. When you live, learn. When you learn, inspire. After inspiring, transform. Go out there and change the situation in your school because of what you're learning. And so as we come to the end, all that we've been talking about is how to guide, how to support, how to help, how to advise, how to give tips or the tips that we can pick and run with, and also how to offer assistance. It is possible. In our discussion, you've been asking yourself so many questions. Some of the things that we've been talking about, is it really going to work in my school? It is about having faith and taking the first step. There is always light at the end of the tunnel. A meaningful life is not being rich, being popular, being highly educated, or being perfect. It's about being real. Be yourself. Being humble, being strong, and being able to share ourselves and touch the lives of others. It is only then that we could have a full, happy, and contented life. Counseling gives us an opportunity to touch lives. Please, let's go out and make use of it. And even as we finish, I want you to reflect on this. How can I describe the institution that I'm teaching in? What other thing can I do to ensure that our school is effective in guidance and counseling? How will I use the learning decision to make a difference in our school? So that we are moving away from thinking about me to us. That out of the learning that I am learning here, how can I make use of it to be a blessing to somebody in my school? Remember, the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. It doesn't matter where you are. You can still improve. You can still improve. So today, Dr. Winnie, Christine from Kemi, has planted a seed. Please water the seed and let it grow. You can only do this by going to the virtual campus and engage yourself with the notes, do the activities in time, do the module assignment, and upload your work. When you have a challenge, don't keep quiet. Don't say, I am dropping out. For my students, drop out. Nairobi group, Kajedo group, we agreed. Kiambu group, tulikubaliana hakuna dropouts. Kindly go and support your colleagues. If you notice so and so has amepotea kwa wall, mutafute murudishe. Because this is a flexible program. It is not si ngumu. Si ngumu, by the way. Tuko karibu kumaliza. Yeah. By August, we are graduating. Yeah, so what is the big deal? Yeah, so tujikaze tumalize. Thank you very much. Not unless there is any question. We have come to the end of our tutorial.
I have an observation.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to be very clear to some of our participants, especially some still not know that everything is in the virtual campus. They're waiting for some emails or want to post their responses through the WhatsApp walls. That there's some darkness in that area, especially on the TPD side.
Oh, TPD.
On the TPD side.
TPD, we are dealing
emails.
Yeah, TPD, we are dealing with large numbers. We are talking of 50,000 participants.
Yes.
And Dr. Christine has got 7 counties, for example.
Yes.
How many students are those?
Thousands.
So when I post on the wall, I have given an assistant, an ICT assistant, and people are not making use of them. Dr. is always busy, and you know it. Please, if I'm not able to assist in person, make use of the ICT support people that have always posted their numbers on the wall. However, I'm going to give a statement so that I remind people, or we remind people, that there is always assistance. There is always assistance, and they shouldn't feel like they are being left behind.
Correct.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. So the remaining comments, let's have them on the WhatsApp wall. Thank you very much for your remarks. And thank you for attending. Let me request somebody to pray for us. Please, if you can pray, just say, I can pray. If you can pray, and give me the name, Rado, so that I can give them right to pray.
Anybody let me check on the chats. Anybody wants to pray? I'm just saying thanks a lot. Any volunteer can pray. And I can't see.
Scroll again.
Judith
who?
Judith.
Okay, Judith, welcome. Sorry, Judith, welcome, Sana. President of Kisi, please pray for us. Unmute yourself, Judith.
Thank you, Daktari. Let's pray. Let's believe and pray. Mighty and everlasting Father, thank you for the good session. Thank you for the good session that we had. Thank you for the presentation from the doctor and very enlightening section that we've had. And as we go back to our station, Lord, help us to implement what we've learned today. Thank you so much. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Asante sana. Thank you very much. Remember to pay your fees, on a light note, please.
Yeah, we are doing.
Yeah, remember to pay your fees. Asante, and have a blessed evening.
Thank you so much.